let's talk a little bit. I mean, there was a story that broke yesterday about a Palestinian state. Story broke yesterday from an interview with Ehud Olmert. Ehud Olmert was the Israeli prime minister in the mid 2000s, 2008 or so, and it turns out that during that period, he actually sat down with Mahmoud Abbas, the head of the Palestinian Authority. This is after Yasser Arafat had already died. And he sat down with Mahmoud Abbas and basically tried to negotiate a peace deal. And in this case, a deal that would create a Palestinian state. Ehud Olmert was a right-of-center politician, and this was going to be a right-of-center peace deal. And again, he sat down with the Palestinians, with the leader of the Palestinians in 2008, and they negotiated. And Israel agreed in that negotiations, basically to grant the Palestinian Authority a Palestinian state in 94% of the land that constitutes the West Bank and all of Gaza Strip. So they were going to get 94% of the land that they wanted in order to establish a Palestinian state. There was going to be some swapping of lands where Israel has settlements that would become part of Israel. And in exchange, Israel would give part of Israeli land that is today Israel, to the Palestinians. This was going to happen both, the Israel giving the Palestinians land was going to happen both in the West Bank and the borderlines of the West Bank, but also in Gaza. And this is something that was going on in 2007-8. It was supported by President Bush. There was a conference in Annapolis, and there was a joint statement put out with the Saudis and Qataris who participated. Quote, "We agree immediately to launch good faith bilateral negotiations in order to conclude a peace treaty, resolving all outstanding issues, including all core issues without exception, as specified in previous agreements. We agree to engage in vigorous, ongoing, continuous negotiations and shall make every effort to conclude an agreement before the end of 2008. Supposedly, Olmert and Abbas met 36 times, and negotiators, others, met over 300 times over a period of 10 months. Condoleezza Rice, who was Secretary of State, was active in the whole process, and it seemed like it was moving towards some kind of conclusion that would have created a Palestinian state. After a year of detailed negotiations, with 12 teams tackling each of the key issues, the process culminated in late August, September 2008, with an Olmert offer for a sovereign Palestinian state, and it was handed to the Palestinians. And I'll just read from this. It involved creation of a Palestinian state on 93.7% of the West Bank and Gaza, with other 6.3% comprising major settlement blocks added to Israel, land swap of 5.8% to the Palestinian state. A dedicated highway would be built to connect the West Bank and Gaza, comprising 0.5% of additional territory, so that in the end, the Palestinian would receive 100% of the numerical area of the West Bank and Gaza. The old city of Jerusalem, including Temple Mount, placed under an international trusteeship led by Saudi Arabia, Jordan, United States, Israel, and Palestine. This was even more than what Clinton had negotiated in 1999. Israel was basically permanently giving up sovereignty over the holy area. Palestine would be a non-militarized state, but with a strong police force. Israel would have the right to defend itself beyond the borders of the Palestinian state. Formal end-of-conflict agreement that would end all claims and satisfy all UN resolutions. That's what this offer represented. The so-called right of return of the Palestinians. They would not be able to return to Israel, to what would be Israel. Although Israel did agree to a symbolic number and to work with international bodies to establish a reparations fund. So Israel is going to give Palestinian refugees a reparations fund. This understanding was consistent with the Clinton parameters from '99 that refugees can return to a Palestinian state, but not to Israel proper. Now, this is, from Israel's perspective, from my perspective, complete capitulation. Complete capitulation. This is putting the monsters of October 7th, 10 minutes drive from Tel Aviv. That's where the West Bank is. So on September 16th, Olmert hosted Abbas in Jerusalem, where he presented a drawn map that he wanted both parties to agree with on. And this is already after everything was negotiated, and supposedly the map was agreed on both sides. And the idea was that the Abbas would say yes, it would go to the UN, and it would be formalized. Abbas, of course, said he wanted further discussions on the map, left that evening, Olmert agreed to have further negotiations. But, the reality is the Palestinians never showed up for a planned follow-up meeting the next day. They never rescheduled. They never came back with any response. No counteroffer. Silence. The whole process effectively died on September 16th. Again, add one more that I didn't even know of, rejection of the Palestinians for peace and for an actual state. This is Olmert. I'm quoting Olmert. To this day, I cannot understand why the Palestinian leadership did not accept the far-reaching and unprecedented proposal I offered them. My proposal included a solution to all outstanding issues: territorial compromise, security arrangements, Jerusalem and refugees. It would be worth exploring the reasons that the Palestinians rejected my offer and preferred instead to drag their feet, avoiding real decisions. My proposal would have helped realize the two-state solution in accordance with the principles of the United States administration, the Israeli government I led, and the criteria the Palestinian leadership had followed through the years. I believe it is crucial to review the lessons of the Palestinian rejection of such an offer. Well, we know the lessons. They're not interested in a Palestinian state that does not include Tel Aviv and Haifa, that does not include the murder of all Israelis. So, when people tell you it's all Israel's fault and all of that, Palestinians, since the 1920s, have basically made it clear that they will never accept a state of Israel. They will not live side by side or together with Jews in the state of Israel, unless the Jews were tiniest of minorities. To this day, the Palestinians still expect the Jews to all go back. Nobody knows exactly to where, or to die. But like on October 7th, they have no intention of peace. They never have, if peace involves the actual existence of Israel. So this is just something that has been revisited. Ehud Olmert, it's in the Israeli newspapers. He's got the map that he proposed available, and completely and unbelievably rejected and ignored. You can find all this online. It's pretty easy to find the map and everything else.